Hey there, Vast Ice Pops. This is Steve here again, and today I'm going to give you a 10-item checklist for Animal Crossing New Horizons to help you get the most out of your island experience. But first, a word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Colonel Tropion's Scale Mix. Ambush your hunger with the scales of real predator beasts, like crocodiles, sharks, sea eagles, and Komodo dragons. It's certified to have the acceptable levels of lead, mercury, arsenic, chromium, cadmium, and other common contaminants. Marinated in a special blend of herbs and spices, Colonel Tropion's Scale Mix is cured to perfection and guaranteed to keep you at the top of the food chain. So, these are in no particular order, and these are just things that I feel will help you have the best day possible when running around your island and building up the way you want to make it. So first, every single day, you're going to want to find the 4 fossils that are buried on your island. Every single day, 4 new fossils are scattered somewhere that you can dig up and take to Blathers to identify. Now, in the beginning, you'll be wanting to donate a lot of them, but eventually you're going to be running into getting tons and tons of duplicates, which you can sell to the Nooklings for easy money. The next thing on the list, you're going to want to locate the golden spot somewhere in your village. And you'll notice this, there's a little golden glow on the ground, usually somewhere in the grass. Although it's been known to spawn on paths too that I've seen, so be on the lookout for that. But when you pull that bag of 1,000 bells out of that hole, don't cover that hole back up. Take 10,000 bells, if you have it, or as much as you can afford, out of your inventory and bury it again. And in 3 days, a money tree will grow. And 3 bags with 10,000 bells each, or however much you buried, will be in those bags. So if you put the max amount that you can use, being 10,000 bells, you'll be up 20,000 compared to the 10,000 that you used to grow the tree. And if you do this every day, then eventually you'll be harvesting a money tree every day. And eventually you'll get up to that full amount where you're harvesting the 30,000 bells each day and reburying another 10,000. So basically you're earning 20,000 bells a day just for burying a bag of bells, which is fantastic. Next thing, you're going to want to comb your beach. And on the beach, you're going to find shells, obviously, and eventually you can take those to the Nooklings to make a little money. Most valuable things I've found are the giant clams and hermit crabs. The hermit crabs will get up and try to run away, so have your net out and try to catch those hermit crabs before they crawl off. And also, you'll find bottles with DIY recipes in them, and occasionally you'll find Gulliver, a seagull who fell overboard from his ship, and you help him find his communicator pieces, and then eventually he'll send you something nice for helping him. Next thing on the list, you're going to want to pick all the fruit you can in your village, particularly if you have non-native fruit. So if your native fruit is cherries, like in my village, you're going to want to have as many coconut, orange, peach, pear, and apple trees that you can fit. At least at first while you're trying to make money. Once you have a lot of money, then you can sort of rebalance things to have a better mix of trees in case you don't want an island that looks like a giant orchard. But you could sell all those non-native fruits for 100 bells a piece, which, if you have a lot of trees, can add up to a nice chunk of change. And I discovered one thing recently, that if you're lucky enough to find a DIY recipe for coconut juice, you can actually turn your coconuts into a coconut juice piece of furniture. That's basically a coconut with a little straw and a flower on it, like a coconut drink like you might have in Hawaii. Those sell for 500, just like the non-native fruits, and all it takes is 1 coconut to craft it at a DIY workbench. So you can effectively get the same price for your coconuts as you do for your non-native fruit. And so, Now, only if Nintendo would add an option to let us craft multiples of the same thing at once, that would be a great revenue stream. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there tapping A, or if you're lucky enough to have a controller with a turbo button, just having it crafted that way with your turbo button. So the next thing you're going to want to do is go around shaking the trees. And you're going to want to do this carefully with your net out because there can be wasps. And actually, there can be more than one wasp nest on a given day in your village. So what I found most effective is to approach the tree from the center whenever possible, shake it, and if whatever side the wasp net falls out on, you're going to want to quickly turn your character towards the wasp nest and then swing really quick. And that's how you catch wasps. And wasps sell for 2,500 bells apiece. The nests are not that valuable, but you can use them to make medicine for treating wasp stings, if that sort of thing interests you. Also, you get plenty of sticks from shaking the trees, which are used for making basic tools. So you can have a very large supply of sticks and basically swim in flimsy fishing rods and flimsy bug catching nets if you so choose. And you can save on iron that way by just constantly using flimsy bug catching nets instead of constantly crafting the good bug catching nets, because the good bug catching nets don't function any better, they just last longer. So there's nothing you can do with a good bug catching net that you can't do with a flimsy one. They just break quicker, so you're going to want to have more. But there's an infinite supply of sticks you can get from shaking trees, so it doesn't really matter. And then one last thing from shaking trees is you can get furniture. Occasionally a free piece of furniture will just waft out of the tree and float to the ground. And it could be a piece of furniture that you want to keep, or it could be something you want to sell. Either way, it'll get added to your Nook catalog, so that's only a good thing. The next thing you're going to want to do is to run around and break rocks. Now, usually you'll have one rock crop up per day in your village. And resist the temptation to eat a piece of fruit and strike the rock. What you're going to want to do is try to strike the rock as many times as possible before you eat fruit to hit it. And you can get multiple pieces of clay, stone, and iron out of the rock before it ends up becoming inert, and then you have to eat a piece of fruit to finally break it, which will always turn into a piece of stone. And occasionally you'll find a money rock that will give you bells in increasing amounts the longer you hit it. So you're going to want to master the art of hitting the rocks quickly in order to get the biggest return. So it's inconvenient that the rock always knocks you back, but if you become very adept at using your controller, it's very manageable. And some people have tried things like digging holes behind them to sort of put their back up against it so they don't have to constantly run back to the rock. That works too, but I've become adept at just constantly moving back to the rock and getting all my hits. So the next thing on the list is you're going to want to talk to all your neighbors. Now this can be tedious, but you do eventually get Nuk Miles and Nuk Stamps for talking to your neighbors every day under a category called Island Togetherness. Now, the more neighbors you have, the longer this is going to take, but also the more neighbors you have, the more chances you have of getting things out of talking to your neighbors. If you visit your neighbors at home, occasionally they'll be at their workbench, and if they are, there's a good chance they'll teach you a DIY recipe you don't have already. Or if you see them out and about, they might give you something. I can't tell you the number of pieces of clothes and other just random pieces of furniture neighbors have actually chased me down to say, hey, take this, I don't need it anymore. Like, oh, okay, hey. And sometimes you can just give them a piece of fruit, like your native fruit, like in my case cherries, just to enhance your friendship with them. And occasionally, if you give them unwanted items that you might not want to sell to the Nooklings, they might give you bells in return, because in this game, and I don't know about previous titles because I haven't played them, when you give your neighbors certain furniture pieces, they'll actually set them up in their house. They'll actually use them. So you can sort of have a little bit of control of how your neighbors, how the inside of their house looks by gifting them particular pieces of furniture. So the next thing you're going to want to do is check out the Nook Shopping at the Nook terminal in the town hall or the Nook tent, depending on where you are in the game. And so first, you get an increasing amount of bonus Nuk Miles every single day that you visit the terminal in a row. So once you get to 7 days, it'll never go above that, but you'll get 300 miles just for walking up to it, which is great. You know, so every day, even if you don't need to do anything, just go up to the terminal and get your bonus miles. There's no reason not to. But definitely check out Nook Shopping, because every day there's going to be a different set of couple pieces of furniture and new clothes and things. And then in my case, I always look for a new KK Slider album to buy because I'm trying to collect all the KK Slider albums. You might even find things you want to use to decorate the island, which will fold into the next thing on the list, which is talking to Isabel about the island rating. Now, increasing your island rating is important because if you haven't reached a 3-star rating yet, you need to get a 3-star rating to sort of complete the main story of Animal Crossing New Horizons by getting KK Slider to come perform a concert there. So you want to talk to Isabel every day to figure out how you're doing in that respect. After the KK Slider concert, you're kind of on your own, and you can pretty much do your own thing. But you want to keep talking to her in order to figure out how you're doing on the path to a 5-star rating. And once you get a 5-star rating, you get the recipe for a golden watering can. So for the people who really want to get the golden tools, that is of utmost importance because you have to get a 5-star rating on your island in order to get that. And so the last thing, you're going to want to pay attention to your Nuk Miles Plus tasks for each day. And once you get to a certain point, you're going to have one task that's worth 5 times the number of miles. And then the others will be worth 2 times the amount of miles. And you're going to want to do your best to complete at least those 5 tasks in order to get the most out of your island experience. Because that'll help mitigate or even go beyond the cost of Nuk Miles tickets, which you'll need to go on mystery tours to get certain things that you need, because it's very unlikely that you'll have all the materials that you need to do everything you want just from the things on your island. Unless you go days at a time without playing the game and there's like multiple rocks constantly when you actually sit down to play the game. You're going to want to go to these mystery tours to crack rocks, you know, find coconuts, maybe find some flowers or fruits that you don't have if you're really lucky, find bugs that you might not be able to catch in your village, things like that. I think that just about covers everything. If you have any other tips, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I hope this is of some help to any of you who are playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's a very enjoyable game. Just a few minor criticisms that I won't bring up here. I might make that a separate video if there's enough interest. If you are interested in hearing my minor criticisms of Animal Crossing New Horizons, tell me in the comments below. And tell me your game requests as well. And so that'll do it for now. I'll see you guys in the next one. That will do it for this chapter. Thank you for checking out my channel. If you like my content, please tell me in the comments below, or if you have any general feedback, I'd welcome that as well. Make sure you subscribe so that you're always up to date with all of my latest gaming adventures.